Hello people, it's your boy Usmaan back again with another video. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, Beek signed yesterday. And also just want to say, I spelled his name completely wrong on the thumbnail and the title. Not one person corrected me, but I don't know what that's about. I apologize to all the people that, probably like, what the hell is going on. But that aside, we have got Joe and Benji joining me from yesterday's show. Or not yesterday's show, the comments. Boys, how we doing?
Unreal.
I'm happy for once.
One player down, 10 more to go.
Yeah, exactly. And we have got a special guest, Eredivisie expert, James. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you show love to the boys. Their links are in the description to their Twitter handles. So obviously, go and check out some of the work that they do. But yeah, as you can see from the title, we are talking about Beek, and in particular, where does he fit into the system, and the player we are expected to arrive at Old Trafford. I believe he's just completed his medicals as well. So all positive news regarding the situation. And to be honest, when Romano says, 3 words, you know it's a done deal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter what anyone else is saying. We know it's done, that's for sure. But listen, I want you to start first and foremost, just get everybody's general consensus regarding the signing. I know obviously Joe had contrasted views to myself. If you haven't watched the video yesterday, I was very, very much excited, very much animated. As some people say, I'm getting a bit carried away because, potentially he's a squad player. But Joe, I'll pass it to you first and foremost, mate. How are you feeling with the signing?
Well, look, to be honest, I can't be anything but. I am excited. I am happy. There is no part of me that isn't happy we got him. But for me, the problem is we haven't picked up someone who's going to immediately improve our first 11. Ideally, I would still like, no matter what, at the end of this window, to have him in the squad. But I would have been a lot happier if we had bought a Sancho or a centre half or a holding midfielder as well as Beek. And I hope that is the way it turns out. But just at this moment in time, by people kind of losing their minds with excitement over it, I don't really understand, because we don't have to look too far back. It's been a good while since someone from the Eredivisie has joined a Premier League club and just lit it up. Like, you're looking at Suarez, is probably the last one who's done it. So I'd be a little bit pessimistic in the past, however, 10 years since we've had someone who's really come into the Premier League and done it from over there. And there's been a lot of people who have tried. And also, James, please clear this up with me. I saw a lot of comparisons between Beek and Davy Klaassen. And I was very upset with that, if I'm being honest. And it really didn't lead me to get too excited about the signing as well, if you get me. Because I can't say no. I only know him really Champions League wise and the best of YouTube.
Well, if I can just say that whoever came up with that comparison is being very disingenuous to Donny van der Beek. Davy Klaassen and Van der Beek are two completely different players, but more importantly, two completely different characters. Yeah. Manchester United, first and foremost, have signed a great character, both on and off the pitch. Someone who's very reliable, someone who has a great work rate, and somebody who wants to play as part of a team. There's no hairs and graces with Donny van der Beek. What you see is what you get. And, he was linked with Real Madrid for such a long time. It appeared from
Don't forget that, Joe.
It appears from our end here in the Netherlands that it was literally only a question of time when were Real Madrid going to come in. And you could argue Van der Beek was maybe waiting for them. But Manchester United have got a very, very good player. You've got to remember he's only 23. Yeah? He's got great European experience. He's won a league title. He drives his team forward. I think you'll see at United, he'll make a lot of runs into the box. I think he'll want to show full of endeavour. I think he'll play, and I think it's the ideal time for him. Dutch media is also pleased that he's chosen Man United because they remain, in the eyes of the Dutch media, they remain the biggest club in England. They remain one of the biggest clubs in Europe.
I love that.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true. I mean, if I can speak about as an Arsenal fan as well, I've been an Arsenal fan for more than 30 years. There's only 2 clubs in English football bigger than Arsenal, and that's Man United and Liverpool. If you're completely honest, And you know, United have got. I mean, they did a masterstroke with Fernandes. You know, everybody was downplaying Fernandes, but look at the impact that man had on Manchester United. I'm not saying that Van der Beek will have the same level of impact, but in terms of determination and trying to do his best for the club, I think they've got a great character. Yeah,
no, you've spoken about the character as well. You know, we'll come back to what Joe said regarding the squad play. Cause I think that's an important point that you made. Then obviously I've got something to go back on that. But I'll come to you, Ben. You first and foremost. You know, obviously slightly contrasting opinions from the two guys. You're smiling for the first time, and so on. Henry, your boy, is put in the comments. James, just to give you a bit of information, Benji never smiles.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. So Benji's very, very critical of anything Manchester United. So to see you smiling is a positive, mate. But what are your thoughts?
I didn't even know Benji had teeth.
No, I'm so ecstatic. Like, obviously, we're going to hear James talk about Van der Beek and everything that he's good at and whatnot soon. But I've been following the guy for like a year now, watching a lot of Ajax's football, especially the Champions League run and a lot of their football that they play. In the, how do you pronounce it? Eredivisie, right? Yeah, Eredivisie. I've been watching a lot of their football because I really had I want to say a crush, but I really liked the three of them. The three of them, what's the and Van der Beek, and I always wanted to get at least one of them. And I feel like the way he plays and the type of player that we're signing, we could only be so excited. I feel like a lot of Manchester United fans are also jumping the gun by saying he's a squad player. I don't think he's a squad player. I think he has potential to walk into the first team. He's that good. He can literally do everything on the ball. His movement off the ball is what we need as well. One of the things that he will come and bring to us is that our midfield won't be so static. He has very, very good off the ball movement. And I feel like he has quite a lot of legs as well to get around the pitch.
Yeah, his energy is good.
He has an eye for goal. He can get a goal. He can get an assist. He can play 4-3-3. I don't really put him in attacking mid, but he can play 4-3-3. He can play 8. He can play 6. And I think we've got a really, really fantastic player in the hand. I'm so excited. I'm probably even more excited about him than apart from Sancho. Everyone else that we signed, I feel like he would be our second best player, our second best signing, because he's a quality player. If you speak to anyone from the Dutch league, from Dutch football, whatever, they speak about him so highly over there. He's respected well, the Dutch national team as well, where he plays alongside Wijnaldum and De Jong most of the time. And I think he's a fantastic footballer, honestly. So I'm just happy.
Yeah, but my only concern is and if we end this window with more signings, and I'm not taking anything away from him because I do think he's an exceptional talent. But if you're going to pick any position in the pitch where we didn't have to strengthen, we didn't have to get better players, it would be in that role. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but I think we do. The only reason I say that is because obviously we'll let James speak, but I feel like he's different to all the midfielders that we have.
Absolutely.
I feel like obviously Matic is a defensive midfielder. Pogba does what Pogba does. And the other guy scores goals. No, not McTominay. Bruno scores goals. Van der Beek can literally do, in a sense, nearly all three of them. And the way he passes the ball and he carries the ball as well, you have to respect him. So, but we'll see what James has to say anyway.
Yeah, James. Just before I bring you in, I just want to add to the squad. Obviously, you'll be able to tell us more regarding his ability, but in terms of the squad thing, first and foremost, right. Our biggest flaw this season is not having options off the bench. So this notion that we don't need a player like Van der Beek at that price, absolutely disgustingly cheap for the player of his caliber. I think he's 60 million, quite easily 60 million, if he's got full contract, etc., or if he hasn't got the release clause. Yeah. But I just think, for me personally, to have someone off that bench who actually has goals for it, you can sub him on for Bruno if Bruno's having a bad game, and he will actually offer us something in terms of creativity and in terms of actually getting into the box and scoring. He loves the third man run into the box. You know, he did it in the Champions League against Spurs on numerous occasions. He kind of reminds me of a Ramsey in terms of his movement into the box and his eye for goals. So he's got that ability in him, and he's also, you just see with Dutch players, they've just got that technical ability, and you can even if you didn't know his nationality by watching him, you'll know he's Dutch. Because he's just got that ability straight away, and he's so silky on the ball.
The philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the philosophy. Each Dutch player has it. And James, I'll let you come in on that. What do you reckon about his ability, etc.?
Well, if I can just elaborate on what you said about technical ability, it's down to education. I mean,
Yeah,
Ajax
absolutely.
remain one of the greatest youth setups in world football,
Definitely.
primarily due to education. You know,
Yeah.
they are taught about life on and off the pitch. I mean, I'm someone that interviews professional players and managers on a regular basis. I've spoken to many players that have come through the Ajax Youth Academy that now play for other Dutch league clubs. And they say about the education they received in terms of showing respect to your teammates, showing respect to your coaches, being aware of space and what you're trying to do within a game, and being aware of your position. In terms of Van der Beek, you know, his journey as a footballer, you know, he started out as a defensive midfielder, played in the number 8 position, and recently more forward as an attacking midfielder. The biggest thing that I can say, particularly in the last 2 seasons, is you notice his presence on the pitch. You never used to, but particularly in the last 2 seasons, you can. I mean, you all saw it at Champions League level, but if listeners and viewers have got a spare 5 minutes, I advise them to go and watch the highlights of Ajax against FC Utrecht from last November. Ajax won that game 4-0, and Van der Beek scored twice. But when you watch that highlight reel, look at his movement off the ball, because I was in the stadium for that match, and it was obviously it's against Utrecht, so it was completely sold out. But he literally ran the show. And Utrecht are a good side. They're not a poor footballing side. He literally ran that midfield. And they won the game 4-0, and he was on it from minute 1 to minute 90. And you know, he's got a tremendous work rate and a great engine on him, and he will always look to make things happen. I don't think he's signed for Manchester United to be a squad player. He's signed for Manchester United to play for Manchester United.
Yeah.
As I say, the links with Real Madrid were around for such a long time that everybody thought that it's just a question of time. But I think you'll see at Manchester United. I think you'll see a lot of late runs into the box. I think you'll see a lot of endeavour. Someone trying to make a difference. You know, this is a man who's captained Ajax, who's, you know, won league titles and wants to show what he's all about. So I think it's I don't know if he'll hit the ground running completely in terms of being like a Suarez coming from the Eredivisie and lighting it up completely. I think he'll need a little bit of time, but I think once he acclimatizes, I think he'll prove to be an excellent buy.
James, can I just ask, and this is maybe more of a general football question, but it's been a long time, and like you mentioned there with Suarez, but it's been a long time since I suppose the Eredivisie and the Premier League have been on such a level where a player could come over. But like if you look at the highest transfers from the Eredivisie to other leagues, and pretty much all the players that are gone for big money haven't really hit the expectations made of them. Is there a reason why you think that is? Is it just that some players?
Well,
I think De Jong's been good, to be fair.
He's been, but like, Sorry, go on.
No, if I can just give listeners and viewers a bit of a background, the Eredivisie, to sum it up, it's an acquired taste. You know, we have 8 teams who are playing on plastic pitches. Fortunately, they're now going on to grass, which is great. You know, because the Eredivisie, you know, playing on AstroTurf and playing on a plastic pitch, you know, it's not great for the highest level of a particular footballing country, especially like the Netherlands. But thankfully, financial beneficiaries and clubs are putting that right. But it's a big difference to go away to Utrecht and away to Venlo and away to Heerenveen, and then going to Chelsea away, Manchester United away, and Arsenal away. It's completely different. You know, obviously the traditional big three here, you know, Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV, they have the kind of the grip, but you do have green shoots such as Alkmaar, who have a tremendous youth policy, and they're really that's really bearing fruit. IZ's youth policy is up there with Ajax, especially in the last 2 to 3 years. And then also you look to the likes of Vitesse Arnhem, you look at Heerenveen, and there are some green shoots of other good footballing teams as well. So I think a lot of it can be ignorance, but also it's a huge ask to go 1 minute you're going to Venlo and Heerenveen and Groningen, and the next minute you're playing at Anfield. You know, so and also the expectation levels. You know, normally, to give an example, you look at the right back of PSV Eindhoven, Denzel Dumfries. You know, he came up to the Eredivisie when he was promoted with Sparta Rotterdam. He then signed for Heerenveen, subsequently signed for PSG, has recently been linked with Arsenal. You know, he's one of the recent transfers domestically that has still gone down the old route, which was very traditional to sign for a smaller club and then work your way up to one of the big three. But it's different footballing expectations and levels, and particularly for young Dutch players, the most important thing for any player, having spoken to players and managers as well, timing is everything in football. Complete timing of a transfer, timing of a manager coming in, timing is everything. And the most important thing for young players is that they play. That is the most important thing.
Yeah, James, can I ask a question? James, can I ask a question? Obviously, this is the question that obviously every Man United fan has on their lips. Do you think he can fit in the midfield of him, Pogba, and
that's literally what I was about to ask.
That's literally what I was about to ask. But for me personally, I think he could. But obviously, you have a lot of in-the-know experts who think he can't. What do you think about his best position and how he can actually fit in that central midfield position?
Well, I think first and foremost, good players can play alongside one another, and you only have to look. You only have to look at De Jong signing for Barcelona to mix it in with a midfield of world class players and not look out of place. Van der Beek received exactly the same footballing education. Van der Beek received exactly the same footballing education that Frenkie De Jong did. Only the differences are slightly different. But as I say, playing in the different roles that Van der Beek can play in is adaptable. You know, he's not going to be selfish in the fact of I want to play there, I've got to play there. In his mind, he's going to be thinking, I'm playing for one of the biggest clubs in world football. I will play where they need me to play. But I think as time goes on, I think he will be pushed further forward. I mean, Manchester United had in Paul Scholes one of the greatest creative Premier League attacking midfielders the Premier League and English football has ever seen. I'm not trying to compare Van der Beek to Scholes in particular, but in terms of arriving late in the box and looking to make something happen, I think there are similar qualities there.
Well, so he's the new Paul Scholes, confirmed.
That's a very high accolade, especially in Man United, as you know, being an Arsenal fan. But I just wanted to ask you regarding the character. You mentioned the character a bit earlier, because obviously that's something that we've lacked. A lot of teams in Premier League are, they haven't got enough leaders, they haven't got enough people to step up, not only just on the football pitch, but in terms of the ability to influence the dressing room. I know he's quite young, but he has got quite a lot of experience under his belt, given the fact that he did so well with Ajax in the Champions League, obviously get to that semi-final against Spurs. But how important do you think as a character he'll be in the dressing room? You've already mentioned how much of he kind of wears his heart in his sleeve, so to speak.
I think as a character in the dressing room, he'll be very well respected because he respects his other teammates and he'll respect elders around him and what they've achieved. And I think that he's not coming as a naive young footballer. He's coming as a young footballer who's won the Eredivisie with Ajax, who's played Champions League football. In his eyes, he's signing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. I think first and foremost, he will respect a lot of his teammates and they will in turn respect him because he's very much a team player. They're not going to see him as someone, look as like a fancy Dan kind of thing. I mean, you look at his character in terms of off the pitch as well. I mean, one of his best friends, Abdul Haq Nouri, he had a cardiac arrest, and Van der Beek would help with the aftercare of Nouri. Not so much in terms of the family privacy, but he was one of the friends who would go to see Abdul Haq Nouri and tell him about what's been going on at Ajax, this was a guy who could only really move his eyebrows and, smile from time to time because, his cardiac arrest literally changed his life forever. But there was Van der Beek as one of his best friends trying to help him in any way that he could, to let him know, look, I'm there, I'm still your friend, I'm there for you. If there's anything I can do, I'm here to help you. And this is what I mean about character. He's not just a good footballer, but also a very good person too.
And James, what do you think? Oh, sorry, Usmaan, are you going?
Yes, no, I was going to ask you a question actually, but you can.
What do you think his ceiling is? How good can he be? Do you think?
Well, things can go very.
Yeah.
Things can go very quickly. If you're asking me, I don't think he's going to peak within the next year. I think maybe within the next 2 to 3, you'll see him peak at both club and international level simultaneously. But in terms of ceiling, I think a very, very competent Premier League player with the potential to maybe move on to La Liga if he wishes. I think to put him in the same bracket as De Jong, as some people have done. You know, De Jong has decided to take a different route at a more difficult club. You know, if you look at the history of Manchester United, it's bringing in their own, believing in their own, showing a collective spirit. I mean, that used to be the case of the club that he signed for, but there's so many problems behind the scenes at Barcelona. I don't think he's going to be able to do as well as what he thought he could there. But
and thankfully, Man United is a perfectly run club and without any issues.
No, but I think in terms of Barcelona, I think they're on a little bit of a more even keel. But Barcelona have made a rod for their own back with being dependent on one player for so long.
Absolutely.
So that, you know, they make a rod for their own back in that respect. You know, so but I think in terms of ceiling, I think a very competent Premier League player for sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna ask to you, Joe. Obviously, then I've got a question for you as well, James. Well, this is for both you and Benji, really. In terms of his character, how important do you think that is for us? Because you know we've seen in recent weeks, in particular, not only has the leadership been lacking, but it seems that we haven't got those characters sometimes. Like it seems that a lot of our players seem to shy away from responsibility when the going gets tough. You know, against Bournemouth, when we're banging in 5 goals, everyone's happy as Larry. You've seen everyone get involved. But when things are going badly, you know, it's quite evident that Van der Beek isn't someone who's going to just like give up when things are going badly. What are your thoughts on that, Joe? How important is it to have those players? Obviously, ability, but in terms of mentally as well.
Like it's absolutely vital. Like it's the core of our club to be a club with leaders and with characters, and we've had a lack of that severely over the last couple of seasons. I think we have a couple now, like Harry Maguire and Bruno are 100%, and De Gea, when his head is in the right place, are exceptional at keeping the team forward and keeping them moving forward. But the more, the merrier. And everything I'm hearing about this guy makes me, like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore him, and I did want United to sign him.
I know what you're saying. To be
fair. But like I'm loving him more and more, and I hope he is one of 3 or 4 signings we get.
Agreed.
But like with his character, with everything,
it's the 3 or 4 signings.
Yeah. But yeah, we need him absolutely, as many characters as possible.
Yeah, Benji, what are your thoughts on obviously what Joe just said there?
I'm ecstatic about that. To be fair, I think you know what it is. I feel like we need more people that are actually playing for their international teams as well. Obviously, it would be nice to ask James where he stands in terms of midfielders for the Netherlands. But I feel like we need players that are in the national team, playing for the national team and the top national countries as well. Something that we've lacked of recent. I also feel like what he can even do is add more competition to our team. The intensity in training will go up as well. And it adds more quality because, like James said, Dutch footballers, they have technique and they have quality. The recent one that came to us, I think, Daley Blind, you can see that when he came to our club, he was one of the few people that actually knew how to actually play football. His movement, he doesn't have the pace, but his ability on the ball was second to none. Yeah,
he just had the wrong manager. That was
like we do now. But yeah, it's just in terms of like obviously I'm happy to see him around. I feel like the rondo with him, Pogba, Bruno, I feel sorry for the people that are going to be running in that square. So
yeah, James, just to bring it back to you, does this? I know you mentioned obviously Real Madrid were interested in him, but does it not surprise you that like, even your own club, Arsenal? You know, so I know they've just got Ceballos back on loan from what just people are tweeting me and texting me. But does it not surprise you that more clubs are in for him? Because I know obviously, you know, Arsenal could have done with a midfielder. Like they've got rid of Ramsey, as you know, a couple of seasons back, and he would have been a perfect replacement, really.
Yeah, I was surprised, but as I say, the rumours for Real Madrid, for us here in the Netherlands, it was pretty much, it only appeared to be a question of time, and then all of a sudden Manchester United strike. But I think in terms of Real Madrid, you know, they've got such a fruitful loan policy at the moment, especially in midfield, that they wanted to see how that went. in terms of international football, at the moment, he's a squad player for the Dutch national team. Ronald Koeman has just left, and they have a caretaker in the assistant of Ronald Koeman, Dwight Lodewegers, who's going to be taking over for the Nations League game. At the moment, here in the Netherlands, there are rumours that Van Gaal will be returning for a potential third spell as manager of the Dutch national team, although it's not been confirmed. The only quote that I have is that Van Gaal is quoted by saying that if he is approached, he would think about it seriously. Other names in the frame are Frank de Boer, Erik ten Hag, also a combination of Ruud Gullit and also Henk ten Kate. But the Dutch National Football Association, the KNVB, will not be making any choices or any appointments until after the Nations League games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, obviously, regarding the international team, as Benji mentioned earlier, it is important for us to have those players on the international stage. Who is it that's actually displacing him at the moment? The team, obviously, I would imagine, of course, De Jong will be one of them.
Martin de Roon has been playing regularly ahead of Van der Beek, but he's a player who he started out at Heerenveen here and was an excellent player.
Yeah.
And then obviously with his with making such a great impression here, Premier League fans may know him from his time at Middlesbrough, where he was much maligned, but he hardly played in that season. I mean, you look at the season when Middlesbrough went down. You've got Christian Stuani and Martin de Roon. They hardly played. Martin de Roon goes on to play fantastic football for Atalanta, and Stuani goes back to Spain and almost gets Girona into Europe. So I think for people that are, in the case of Martin de Roon, people are looking at him now because he's doing such great work with Atalanta, but he was the one actually not keeping Van der Beek out of the side, but Van der Beek would come on for him as a sub, for example, and then push a little bit more forward.
Right, that's interesting. Obviously, like the guys have said, he's still quite young, so he's got a lot to offer in terms of international and club football. So hopefully, he can break through in the near future. I've just got one more question to ask you, really. It's regarding a lot of quotes have come out from Van der Beek saying that he's very excited to be at Manchester United. Obviously, he's excited with the project. The last question is, how integral do you think Ollie and Van der Sar were in this signing actually going ahead? Because Benji here isn't a massive fan of Ollie, so do you want to just tell him that Ollie was quite important to get Van der Beek from United?
Oh no.
I think Van der Sar is a consummate professional. But he's like with Mark Overmars. They enjoy their current roles so much that you would forget they were footballers because they take their roles so seriously. Yeah. And Van der Sar always has a trait of respecting every single club that he ever plays for, including Juventus, where he was treated quite poorly. Yeah. But I think Van der Beek as well. He would have spoken to Daley Blind as well. He would have spoken to Timothy Fosu Mensah as well. Players act with one another.
I told you.
Players act with one another. Players speak with one another. Football is a very, very small world. But I'm sure that when Van der Sar told Van der Beek that Manchester United have come in, I'm sure he had a very positive word indeed.
Well, there you have it. Ollie got his soul, Sean.
No, he didn't.
He didn't know, Benji. He didn't.
He didn't mention Ollie's name once.
No, you have to read between the lines, Ben.
Yeah, you have to read between the lines. James gave me the eyes. I saw it.
Yeah. It was all Ollie.
Listen. Yeah, go on, James. Sorry.
I actually have a question for all three of you. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm an outsider looking in, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you got the greatest ever in terms of Ferguson, and then obviously Van Gaal.
Yeah.
You guys will know him much better than me, but is it not that with the size and the stature of a club such as Manchester United, that they will be looking for a new manager in the future sooner rather than later?
James, come on the show more, please. Please.
Guys, I think, to be honest, just to answer that question for you, I think a lot does depend in terms of what happens in transfer window. For me personally, as a fan, I don't think Ollie would be culpable if things were to go south this season if we don't sign the players that we need to go to the next level. I think there's an expectation from the fans that we're ready to go to the next level. in terms of trying to challenge. Obviously, we're not going to win it, but at least be within the conversation come, I don't know, April, early April. And I think that's the most realistic expectation. Some fans probably want Ollie to go all the way and think he's capable of doing that with this team, or he should do that. It depends on how you see it. For me personally, I think he will get sacked if we don't sign another 2-3 players realistically, because he's not. Yeah, exactly, because he's not going to meet the expectations of the fans and the clubs. So to put it shortly, I think he probably won't be come next season, sadly. Go on, sorry.
No. I have a different question, so keep going, Usmaan.
All right, okay. Benji, what do you recommend? Do you think Ollie needs to get sacked?
No, it's not. I don't think. Obviously, you don't want anyone to lose their job, but as James said, obviously, we want to start playing football the Dutch way, the more extravagant and more beautiful way. So obviously,
you had Van Gaal. He's Mr. Dutch.
I feel like if you get like a manager like Pochettino who will understand Van der Beek and the way we can play a bit more, fluid.
No, Benji. Bad Benji.
James, you had a question.
Joe had a question. Joe,
yeah, I have a question for James, the Arsenal fan in Holland. Have you heard? I saw a lot of strong rumors that put your ex-manager Arsene Wenger as the next Dutch boss.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. I think Wenger was just being polite.
That's very unlike him.
Was just being polite. I think it was just kind of like a token overture of, if you want to speak to me, I'm happy to speak to you. But as I mentioned, the names that I just mentioned are the Dutch ones in the frame. And as someone who's born and raised in the UK, who's lived in the Netherlands for 15 years nearly, I am not sure how the Dutch would take to a foreign manager.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure. And you only have to look. You only have to look at France. France have got the best manager they can have in Didier Deschamps. I'm not just saying that because he won the World Cup, but if you look at Deschamps' history, managed Marseille, managed Monaco, played at the highest level, knows everything there is to know about French football, is by far and away the best candidate. You look at Luis Enrique, for example, playing for two of the biggest clubs in Spain, as well as Gijón, and also his at club level and international level. And I just think as well, the Dutch would view it as there are better answers closer to home. I'm not sure. They have had foreign managers in the past, but it was a long time ago.
But
if I can just touch on Van Gaal, in my opinion, arrived at Manchester United 5 years too late. I mean, if you remember, he was supposed to take over from Ferguson in 2003. Apparently, there was an agreement in place with Peter Kenyon that he would take over from Ferguson when Ferguson was due to retire. Van Gaal often spoke about that in previous years when he was managing here in the Netherlands at RZ, and also at the Dutch national team. So I think in the case of Van Gaal, yes, he did win the FA Cup for Manchester United, but I think he came just a little bit too late in order to make a bigger impact.
And what's his reputation like in the Netherlands at the moment? Like, if he's going to be the next manager, possibly, is he still held in high regard, or?
He is still held in high regard, but if he was to take the job, you would have exactly the same situation as when Hiddink took the job. Hiddink took the job as I think 70 years old when he took the job again, and then he suffered with a generation gap identifying and relating to young players.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that the younger Dutch players wouldn't understand Van Gaal in terms of language, but in terms of method and mentality, you might find it a little bit strange, because the man is brutally honest. I mean, I spoke to former Feyenoord winger Jean-Paul Boetius, who is now playing at Mainz in Germany, and he was telling me about the first day he went on international duty under Van Gaal, and he met up with the squad. He drove into the training centre. And they said, "Oh, you've got training at such and such a time, but first and foremost, you have to go to Van Gaal's office." He said, "Okay." And Van Gaal was literally peppering him about his life off the pitch. Are you married? Do you have children? What's he doing in your
Wow.
And he was shocked. He was absolutely shocked. He said he literally wanted to know everything about every player, and in terms of how they function off the pitch. And Van Gaal is sometimes he can lack a little bit of social skills or a bit of nuance, but he remains one of the finest Dutch managers of his generation.
Fair. That's probably why Rooney wasn't a fan of him. That explains everything. To be fair, Rooney with the questions about his personal, I don't think he wants to go down that route. But listen, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of our guests today. A special thank you to James. Thank you very much for coming on. Obviously, giving us that website information. We really do appreciate it. Obviously, you're not a considerable more than myself, and in particular Benji, who still wants Ali out. But, we'll leave that to the debate. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, show the boys that love. Their links are in the description. Apart from that, it's been your host, Usmaan. Peace.
Is it